Greetings, YouTube, and welcome to the next episode of the 4,000 question challenge, which I completely forgot to check to see which one it was. It's 313. Yes, it's 313. My apologies. It's Friday. It's my long day. I'll use that as an excuse. Um, yeah, I got to work at 3 hours ago, so I'm I'm not on my best, I guess. Should it be illegal to manufacture, sell, or possess semi-automatic firearms? And they put in parentheses assault rifles. Yes, I believe that to be firmly true. But it's also important, as far as I'm concerned, that you have to be more specific. It isn't just long arm semi-automatic firearms that I want to ban. I want to ban pistols and shotguns as well. I throw the shotguns in there, realizing that they are a corner case. There aren't a lot of semi-automatic shotguns in the world. They're not great sellers. Most people pump actions are far more common. Um, but I want to make sure that there's no gaps. When I say semi-automatic firearms, I mean all semi-automatic firearms, without exception. Um, what should be the fine? What should the fine be for running a red light? Um, I believe that all traffic violation fines, speeding, parking, everything should be based on your income. So, for example, if somebody makes $20,000 a year, their fine may be $50. Whereas somebody who makes $200,000 a year, their fine would be $500 or 5,000 or whatever. 500 probably appropriate. And if they make 2 million, you get the point. It keeps going up. You need to make the fine be a percentage. It needs to be sliding so that as they get more, it gets larger. It's not going to be a direct times 10 or something like that. But the point being is that you need to make sure that the people at the top pay a lot more for their malfeasance than those at the bottom. A bigger chunk of there so that it still impacts them and makes them then not break the law. They just can't get away with it because they're wealthy. But specifically for running a red light, I have no idea. I have no idea what the fine is now. I've never gotten a ticket for running a red light. I have run red lights a couple of times without meaning to, and a few times more often because I intended to, because I go to work late at night on roads that there is no one on, particularly say during the pandemic. So I would just look around, no cars, and go. But at least I'm looking. Should marital rape be a crime and punishable how? The the crimes in the question. The crime, it's the third word, rape. There are no qualifiers. There are no other conditions. It's rape. And you should go to prison. I'm a firm believer 10 years would be good. Yeah. How do you think the problems in the Middle East could be resolved? Well, we could stop screwing with the politics of the Middle East. We could stop exploiting them. We could stop invading them. We could stop giving money to the Israeli government. There's lots of things we could do, but we're not going to do them because the people in power like the system the way it currently is. Should victims have more rights and criminals less? Well, victims should have more rights. I don't think criminals should have fewer rights. They don't have many rights as it is. I'm a big believer in more rights, not less. But I think victims should be able to have more of a right to impact the system and make sure that their desires are known, both for good or ill, in the sense that this person I believe should get more punishment, or this person should get less, because I don't think that I think the court is being it's going over overblown too much. I think the victims themselves should have an opinion about what's going on. The Middle East. Are your sympathies more with the Israelis or the Palestinians? Well, that's an interesting question, because my sympathies are with Palestinians, and I am very neutral towards Israelis. I am most assuredly against the Israeli government. And there's the difference. I separate the Israelis and the Israeli government. Now, the Israelis that support the Israeli government, I've got a problem with. But the Israelis that are neutral or don't support the Israeli government, I don't have a problem with. But the Israeli government, yeah, I got a problem with them. What steps have you taken to conserve water? I don't flush the toilet every time I use it. If we're just urinating, we don't flush it as often. We flush it probably 2 or 3 times a day, unless we're passing solids, and then it gets flushed. We take showers as opposed to bath for the most part. I don't actually fill the sink up with water, because a lot of the time I'm doing a very small quantity of dishes, and I have just to use a very thin stream of water, and it takes me a very short period of time to get the dishes done, so I'm not wasting water in that regard. So I do take some steps. What is our country's most pressing problem today? That most pressing problem is like a category. It isn't necessarily a specific. But if you're going to ask me that the most pressing problem, I'm going to go with capitalism. Yeah. What would be the effect of women on national security if they were used in direct combat? What would be the effect of women on national security if they were used in direct combat? That's an interesting way to phrase that. So not necessarily what's the effect on the women, but if women were in frontline combatants, would it affect our overall national security by doing that? And I'm going to go with none at all. It would have no effect, because women are just as capable as men to kill. And lastly, for this episode, which was 313, I remembered, what is your overall opinion of Iran? I have absolutely nothing against the Iranian people. I have a real big problem with the Iranian government. That's a theme in my life. That my problem is with the governments more than the people in those countries. For example, I don't have a problem with progressive Americans. I have a problem with people that support the American government, who are conservative, socially conservative, and who support white nationalism. So, yeah, that's the theme. Not so much aiming at the people, but I don't like the governments. I can't think of any governments that I really embrace, to tell you the truth. A number of the Scandinavian and European governments are better than others, but none of them are perfect, and I can't say that I am gung-ho about any of them. But as far as the Iranians are concerned, my issue is with the government and not with the people. So, thank you for being here for episode 313 of the 4,000 Question Challenge. I hope that you will be here for episode 314.